All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Fred. I'm a product manager at AG5, and I will be your host today for this webinar. I lead our integration strategy, working closely with the HR systems, LMS systems, and also internal systems to basically simplify processes and integration experiences for our customers. And I think that it's time to start our webinar. All right, our topic for the day is, as you can see, automate skills tracking and how to save time with AG5 integrations. So yeah, the goal is really that today I can show you how AG5 connects with your existing tech stack to not only centralize the skills tracking, the automated processes, but also, and very, very important, to simplify audits. I know that we all love audits, they are super fun. And one of our main missions is to really simplify the work for you. Once again, I'm Fred. I lead AG5's integration strategy. My job is to make sure that AG5 plays well and integrates well with all the tools that you already use. And I work with our product and engineering teams to build smooth, scalable, and last but not least, secure integrations that fit your real business use cases and your real business needs. Today's webinar will run for 30 minutes, with 10 minutes, of course, reserved for questions and answers at the end. So please feel free to drop your questions anytime in the Q&A tab, and we will answer them during the Q&A session. Of course, also, I need to mention that this session is recorded, so you will have access to this session later, and all the slides will be shared with you as well, so you don't have to take any notes or be worried with the information that you are reading. Everything will be shared with you. And our agenda for today, I'll be basically covering why skills management in Excel is broken, what AG5 does, where integrations fit in, real examples from the field, and what's coming next as well. And I really want to emphasize that this session is based on real use cases and practical solutions from our real customers and not just theory. So let's keep things fun. Before the fun, we have an open poll. And the question today is pretty straightforward and simple. What systems do you use to manage workforce skills data today? Please tell us if you use any manual tools like Excel or spreadsheets, if you use any specialized system such as AG5, or if you use HR systems, LMS systems, multiple systems, or even others. If your selection is others and you want to let us know which ones are you talking about, you can also use the chat for that. All right. All right. I see Excel is one of the main answers, which is very interesting and good because we will cover exactly why we don't like Excel and how can we save you from all the pain. So you will learn today, hopefully, how to connect and how do we connect AG5 with HR systems, LMS systems, even BI tools. Also, how to sync employee data, training, and certifications. And of course, as I mentioned before, I will use real use cases from top companies that we have as a customer. So let me start today's session with the problem. I don't want to sound too dramatic, but skills management is broken in our opinion, and even companies using top or leading HR tools are stuck with Excel. We see this every single day. And why skills management is broken here with Excel, because even with HR systems, HR systems track based on job roles. But factories, for example, need skill data at the workstation and at the machine level. And of course, a job role doesn't tell you who can operate, for example, machine A. Someone being a technician doesn't mean mandatorily that they are certified to use a certain machine. Also, we see a lot of common issues. And the conclusion on our side is always super concrete. Excel isn't enough. And let me break it to you. Some points where Excel fails at scale. Actually, we have a lot of manual errors. Of course, we are humans, so we make mistakes, and it's a very common scenario to see our customers that were using Excel and missing expired certifications, and that's of course a very serious issue. We also saw a lot of times, and we see outdated and conflicting files. Sometimes people make a copy of a file and don't update the name, and then they don't know which file they should use. So, conflicting files is really one of the main pain points that usually our customers share with us. Also, no expiry warnings. Of course, Excel will not send to you any notification, any trigger, or even an email warning you that a license is expired. There's no audit trail as well. Of course, you can use the history feature from Excel, but it's not manageable. Every time there's slow and painful updates. Of course, it takes hours sometimes to align all the teams, and it doesn't scale with growth. It might work with 10 people. For 300, 1,000, 2,000, it will not work. So, conclusion, Excel is great until it becomes the weakest link in your compliance process. And we don't want that. And because we don't want that, our mission, the thing that we think about every single day, is really to allow and help regulated manufacturers to stay compliant and efficient. So we focus on centralizing skills tracking. We focus on mapping skills to your operational needs. We focus also on providing real-time records and data, and also helping you identify skill gaps early before they are an issue for your organization. And that's where integrations come in. I think you all agree with me when I say that today we live in an integrated world, right? Spotify syncs with your car, Google Calendar heads your flight from Gmail, and WhatsApp backs up to Google Drive, Uber is connected to Google Maps, Instagram is connected to Facebook. So we don't even notice anymore that these things are happening. And in business is no different. SAP, Cornerstone, Workday, they all integrate by default. And of course, AG5 is doing the same because we are no different. So there are three scenarios that I would say that we really focus on helping our customers. First thing, we don't want you to be updating the same thing in three different places. We want one central place where you can update all their information. Of course, we don't want you to deal with outdated data by the time we act on it. And we don't want you to miss who's missing which training. We want you to have clear access to all this data. And with that comes a focus of knowing what system does what, because we really believe that each tool has a different purpose. Of course, when we talk about HR software, we talk about employee information and data. we talk about payrolls, career paths. When it comes to learning management systems, we usually talk about course content, training delivery. And when it comes to AG5, we really focus on the skills matrix, the audits, the compliance, and operations based rules. So each tool serves a different part of the workforce puzzle and they do different things. We should not expect one tool to do everything, but AG5 in the center serves as your main hub for all this data. So, this is the typical diagram of the perfect use case where a customer connects both LMS and HR systems to AG5. LMS for e learning, of course, HR systems for people data, and AG5 in the middle. So I would say, and use trying to use an analogy here, that AG5 is like the brain linking what HR knows, what people learn, and what operations need. AG5 is not an LMS. We manage the skills matrix, we manage compliance alerts. You still need an LMS, but you need AG5 to know what someone should be learning. In this slide, and this is probably too technical, but I need to mention this. Of course, we deal with multiple ways of integration. One of the most common ones, of course, it's API. We integrate with any API from any tools, since HR, BI tools, and LMS. But we also use and have this possibility that requires super low effort from you and from your IT department, where AG5 synchronizes employee data, as you can see here. AG5 does not serve as the primary source of employee information. Employee data is sourced from your ecosystem and then imported into AG5. This includes details such as employee ID, employee first name, last name, email, start date, end date, role, you name it. And very important to mention, we always adapt and we try to adapt our setup to your needs. So we also allow custom fields and we don't have a limit for custom fields. For the CSV integration, we use and we set up the SFTP server for you, and we just share the credential that you need after. Also, important to mention that the only thing that we will need from you is really a CSV template field with all your requirements, all your needs, and then our onboarding team coordinates every single thing from you. Now, some very exciting news. I think we can consider this an announcement. At the end of this quarter, so at the end of this month, AG5 will be releasing our new Open API version. And what it means, basically, in a nutshell, is that you will have public access to an API where you can get all the data in and out that you want, not only for your BI tools, not only for HR and LMS systems, but also to your data warehouses if you have interest in such solution. This means that you can get all the data that you want from AG5, and once you have the data is yours. We don't manage anymore, and you can do with that wherever you want to meet your business needs. We have a very vast experience right now with HR. These are just a couple of logos. We have a couple more, but we work and we are experienced with brands such as ADP, UKG, Shiftboard, AFAS, Oracle, Workday, SAP, People HR. So on the HR realm, we really have more than 20 brands right now where we have integrations with. The same thing for LMS. Some of them, of course, offer both systems, such as SAP and Workday. But for LMS specific, we also have integrations with Cornerstone, Vector Solutions, Flow Sparks, and Moodle. Talking about Workday, the reason why I'm mentioning Workday is because it's really one of the most requested integrations that we have. So I thought it was interesting to cover and give Workday and SAP next as an example. But to be honest, independently on the brand that you want us to integrate with, the process will always be the same. And we try that your experience, no matter the brand that we are integrating with, is always the same. For Workday, our standard mapping focus on employee master data, organizational structures, and life cycle events. And we have here some of the data that we usually use. And we can connect with Workday via API. We can use custom fields. We do the data mapping, and we can also use the CSV integration using a SFTP server. Same thing for SAP, also one of the most requested integrations that we have. Let me say to you that both Workday and SAP, especially when it comes to LMS, we have bidirectional syncs, which means that data goes in both directions. We receive data from SAP. We also send data to SAP, LMS data, and we also send compliance updates back. The benefits with the SAP integration from AG5 is that AG5 is a certified SAP partner since 2020. So we have a lot of experience. And of course, we already have a team from SAP that is used to work with us. And when it comes to do a new integration, that experience helps really a lot. Now, one of the most fun parts, I would say, of this webinar, a real use case. Today, I'm here to share one of the best use cases that we have, that is KLM. As a product manager, I really like all customers and all setups. But when you see a customer taking so many advantages from the integrations component that we have at AG5, it really makes us a little bit proud, I would say. So KLM Cargo case study before AG5 was really challenging. I think that's the right word. A lot of manual processes. The audits were super stressful anytime that they had one. And you can imagine that they had a lot of audits because we are talking about airplanes, we are talking about airports. So you can imagine in terms of compliance what a setup like this requires. And the risk of no integration for KLM means expired skills unnoticed, means manual reports for audits, means frustrated managers as well. And AG5 solved this with automation and with integrations. And this isn't just about software, this is also about the risk. Being a little bit more concrete, you have here all the integrations that KLM has right now. This is the KLM setup. They have 7 integrations. And the good thing about AG5 is that we don't have limits. We adapt to your business needs, and we make sure that you have, again, one central hub where you can manage every single thing, taking into account that we consume the data from all these systems. And the results, they are quite expressive and impressive. After all this setup and after all these integrations, KLM saw 35% increase in time savings, which means 8 days per month. Also, they saw 100% data reliability, which means that they were not worried anymore with any compliance issues. And they were, again, very important, fully audit proof and confident, because when you are facing an audit, you need to be confident in the data that you are going to show. And we are really proud that AG5 contributed for the KLM use case. One of the most interesting and funny feedbacks that we have from KLM is now everything is just a click. And I think this sentence is a very cool summary for what we are trying to achieve at AG5. Um, Also, it's very important to take into account the consequences of not being compliant for this type of enterprise companies, right? Not being compliant means also unable to transport cargo in the KLM cargo use case because they can't prove compliancy, and that of course leads to operational costs and also a loss in operations efficiency, and that's really our main focus and where we try to help our customers. We reach now a phase for Q&A. So I was hoping to see if you have any questions for us and more concretely for me. Feel free to use the chat to ask any questions, and I will try to answer them right away. And we have also here, let me just open the chat. We also have here one slide prepared with common questions because we know that sometimes these type of questions always come. So what fields does the Open API support or will support? So I mentioned the Open API before, and I think it's important to mention this. All the fields that we will support are exactly all the fields that we offer in our system, and that comes from employee to skills to results to plannings. So all the fields that you see at AG5 interface, those are the fields that you can expect you can get out of the AG5 API. Then the second question is how much time does it take to complete HR integration between AG5 and Workday? Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Workday, if it's SAP, an HR integration, and take into account that in most of the cases we can use a CSV SFTP integration. It doesn't take more than between 1 to 3 days. So you can expect that the onboarding process for these type of integrations will be super fast. What is the most common LMS tool for AG5 customers? Yeah, I think that I already answered this one during the slides, but for LMS tools, I must say that SAP is the number one. Cornerstone probably is the number two, but they are both very requested from our customers. Next question is how many times is the SFTP server updated per day? Yeah, this is a very common question. It really depends on your use case and also on your needs, but we can update the SFTP server with the new data, so you can see all the data updated in the AG5 user interface between once every single day or to once every single hour. It really depends, and we adjust, and we don't have any limit to this. We always make sure, and we know that depending on the use case, is very important that you can see the data updated almost real time. Then the last question is does AG5 supports document SharePoint integration? Yeah. Every single time that we talked with um, possible new customers during the last few weeks, SharePoint and documents integrations have been asked a lot, I must say. And for that reason, and because we are constantly paying attention to what the market is asking for, the SharePoint and documents integration is now part of our Q3 roadmap. So after the Open API in Q2, we have another big upcoming feature for our integrations, that is the documents and the SharePoint integrations. All right. Those were the questions. And yes, if you want to book any demo, if you are interested in in knowing anything else and to be in contact with us, please, you just need to book a demo. And to get started, you can visit our website. You can even contact me directly on LinkedIn or any social network, and we can take care of that. And I see that we have a question. Sorry. Are you familiar with the ILU method, or do you use a 1 to 5 evaluation scale for accessing skills? Yes, so we have a couple of rating scales available, and we can use from 1 to 5. We can also use achieved, failed. We try to adjust if the tool that you are using has a different nomenclature or a different way of doing things. We also make sure that the translation will not affect. So yes, about the ILU method, I'm not familiar, but we can do a scale, a rating scale, or also achieved, failed. Do your clients work with standardized skills per job role and then had specific technologies as extra skill requirements for each employee? Yes, exactly. This is one of the most powerful features of AG5, I would say, that are the requirements. So we can have requirements per job role, we can have requirements per location. It's really up to you to decide and to share with us your needs, and we can do that. And then inside each location, inside each job role, a different employee can have different skills or different requirements. So yes, it's possible to do that per group or also individually. All right, one more question. Is there any sample of the workflow of the software from a user perspective? Uh, any sample of the workflow of the software from a user perspective? Yes. I'm not really sure if Guilherme, you are asking regarding workflow like a diagram or a really incorporated in the software workflow. In both cases, if you are talking about the diagram, we can share it with you. If you're talking about the incorporated workflow in the software, we also allow workflows in our software, and you can configure them in our user interface. And also, just one third option, if you are talking about a workflow proving the integration, for example, between SAP and AG5, we can also demonstrate that. And I think a demo would be the perfect scenario to demonstrate it. All right. No worries. Thank you. Um, and yeah, once again, it was super nice to be here with you. Please feel free to contact us, to contact me directly, and we'll make sure that all your questions, all your doubts are clarified. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jen.